Those decisions are being made, I would imagine the mood over there is one of frustration and fear. All right, Duke, and you'll be checking in daily with us.
Teresa Heiser spent her last few minutes before surgery this morning with her husband, Patrick. The couple has been thinking about this surgery for over a year. Terry has had a lot of problems with bleeding, and there's a strong history of female pelvic cancer in her family.
I think it'll be a big relief, that I won't have to worry. And I'm glad I'm having it done now while I'm young, and I think I'll recover a lot better than if I waited till I was older.
Terry and Pat have 4 children, and they feel the surgery is the best thing for their family.
A lot of relief after it's over with the cancer history.
They made the decision to have the surgery done through the laparoscopic-assisted vaginal technique because it's safer, has a quicker recovery time, and is less expensive with a shorter hospital stay.
What's moving here now is the uterus, and you can see her, those little white things on each side there are her ovaries.
The doctor makes 4 small incisions in the abdomen. Microscopic equipment is inserted through the holes, including a lighted camera. The doctor can see what she's doing on monitors.
What I'm going to try and do now is get this tube that drains the kidney out of our way. That's it, this right here. And so that I know where it is and I don't damage it during the surgery.
During the operation, the patient's abdomen is inflated with carbon dioxide gas, so the doctor has room to work.
Just got a little bleeding from this end here. I just need to stop that.
Dr. Rock does as much of the surgery as she can through the laparoscopic instruments. Then she completes the removal of the uterus and ovaries through the vagina.
And you can see her tubes and ovaries, and the uterus and the cervix. And the only part that I did from below was from about here to here. The rest of it I did from above with the laparoscope.
So far, there have only been about 10 hysterectomies done in the Northland through laparoscopic surgery, but with each procedure, the doctors realize just how great is the benefit. The traditional hysterectomy requires a large incision in the abdomen, and it generally keeps a patient in the hospital for about a week and out of work for 6 more weeks after that. Dr. Rock expects Teresa to go home tomorrow or the next day and be back to work in about a week, feeling good. At St. Luke's Hospital in Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
Soil chemistry, soil biology, vegetative sustainable development, biodiversity. There's a the land department is currently involved to improve our skills at evaluating the site's capacity. The second inventory is a permanent plot inventory.
And many of the citizens of the state also utilize our forests for hunting, for fishing, camping, berry picking, bird watching, and other activities. So we want to encourage people to be involved in their forests. Mm-hmm.
The reason they do this is pretty simple. Both Congress and the White House are sensitive to the demands of foreign and domestic lobbyists and other special interests who paid for their last campaigns. They are not sensitive to us, just hard-working people who pay the taxes to make this country go.
About killing them, but we were raised better, we know better, we've been told do it by the letter of the law, so this is the way we are going, and finally the law is turning our way.
Superior residents hold on to their anger as a man many fears steps back into the courtroom.
Little poke here, be real quick, okay? I know it hurts. Or non-aspirin product that a child his age would take, so I'll let you take that with you too. 3 months for your next set.
Thank you.
All right.
But it's pronounced Jana. And your last name? Ludwig.
What's the number?
Yeah.
We've gotten lots of cooperation from everybody, from the mayor, from Congressman Obie's office, from the residents, from the health departments, the county and the state health departments, and also the county board supervisors and chairmen. We've gotten cooperation from all parties.
Up to late yesterday, the burning and ethnic cleansing continued in the principal valley of conflict. Now, this morning, a meeting was arranged between the rival commanders in a final effort to stop it. Both men are former officers of the Yugoslav National Army. For the Croatian forces, Milivoj Petković, and on the Bosnian army side, Zefir Halilović, whose forces had been advancing. He arrived under British armored protection and was looking for a ceasefire.
Dajem obe ruke.
I'll even sacrifice myself, he said, to bring all patriotic forces together to fight against fascism. He meant the Serbs. Outside the Croatian forces headquarters in Busovac, Mr. Halilović met the local commanders, former allies now turned enemies. It was a correct enough meeting, though one of the Croats told Mr. Halilović that his forces should go back where they came from and it wouldn't be a problem anymore. In British armored personnel carriers, both commanders then visited the front lines, which had been the scene of heavy fighting only yesterday. It's a World War I landscape in which the Muslims have been advancing and the Croats retreating. Here Mr. Halilović went into a huddle with his frontline commanders, and the British were optimistic that the order for a ceasefire would finally be observed.
For these people, their lines of communication are much longer. So the answer is we bring the Commander-in-Chief to see them. When he sees them, they know that he's the truth.
After so much fighting on this front, this is a last chance for the two men in charge of the two armies to talk to their frontline commanders. If they fail to persuade them to stop the fighting, a full-scale conflict across this entire front is inevitable. Martin Bell, BBC News, Kula, Bosnia.
There are about 17,000 people directly or indirectly influenced by the logging industry in northern Minnesota, and there could be as many as 5,000 of those jobs directly or indirectly that would be put at risk under a complete ban of logging in the national forest.
should the proposed logging cuts actually take place, it would save and would decrease the U.S. supply and increase the cost of and would reduce the U.S. timber supply and increase the price of lumber. Decrease the U.S. timber supply and increase the price of lumber.
A proposal to cut group sizes in the Boundary Waters canoe area has touched off a heated debate over how to ease overcrowding in the busiest wilderness in the country. Evidence of overuse is easy to find, like trampled ground and damaged trees at campsites. But the suggestion to cut group sizes from 10 to 6 has brought howls of protest from outfitters, church groups, and even the Boy Scouts.
The more traditional organized groups will be affected in that their unit costs will go up dramatically. It'll be harder for the scouts to find leaders. You know, they have a hard enough time finding one adult or two adults to go with them.
The environmental group Friends of the Boundary Waters says it is a sacrifice that must be made.
10 pairs of feet on a campsite have more impact than 4. The average party size to the Boundary Waters is 4.
But many of the groups which stand to lose are the best environmental stewards. In an official Some outfitters feel the same way. Bees wilderness paddlers Bee Brophy and Barb Anderson feel the reduction makes no sense.
And we feel that 10 educated people going into the boundary waters leave much less of a trace that they've been there than 6 people who are not equipped emotionally or educationally to use the boundary waters.
The paddling bees focus on minimum impact camping, with each trip co-led by the 70-plus-year-old ladies.
It'll definitely cut down our business way down because we'll have to raise the prices to take only 4 people. That's half as many people. So we'll have to double our price to really make anything.
But higher prices is something environmental groups say the canoe traveler will be willing to pay for a wilderness troop without lines at the portages or a race to the last available campsite on each lake. In Ely, Dave Jench, News 6. The truck sits silently now on 4 Mile Portage in the Boundary Waters Wilderness, waiting for passengers and cargo that may never arrive. Most years, portage operators would be getting ready for the busiest weekend of the season, next week's fishing opener. This year, they are waiting in frustration.
The people are mad. That's what they are. They're good and mad, sick and tired of having everything stolen from us, taken away from us.
What's being stolen is an easy way to get across 4 Mile Portage to the prime fishing of Basswood Lake. Environmental groups sued to ban 3 motorized portages. A federal appeals court agreed.
Outfitters say the real target is not these trucks or a trail going off through the woods, but it's the motorboats hauled on these trailers. Eliminate the trailers and you virtually eliminate motorboats going into Basswood.
And Basswood is the busiest and most profit-generating motor lake in the wilderness.
The 78 law guarantees us using Basswood Lake. And let's get down to the real issue here. What they want is to eliminate boats on Basswood. They don't care one bit about this road here. They want the boats off of Basswood, and the law guarantees them, and they're not even arguing with that.
Environmental groups say the law is clear.
This is a battle that was lost for the folks in Ely 15 years ago when Congress passed the 1978 Boundary Waters Law.
The law left room for motorized portages only if no feasible alternative could be found. Extensive testing of portage wheels in 1989 convinced the Forest Service that there was no feasible alternative, but the courts disagreed.
Congress knew of the existence and the use of portage wheels in 1978 in passing that provision, and in fact the manager of the House Conference Committee report during the final debate on this issue in the Congress described the use of portage wheels.
Supporters of motor use were hoping for an immediate stay of the closing order so that while the Supreme Court deliberates, the portages could have been used by paying customers. Now it looks like business will be lost while outfitters wait to see if that loss is permanent. In Ely, Dave Jench, News 6.
our whole program is built around trying to influence them toward care for each other and spreading that as far as we can into the community.
As soon as everybody's got a book, sit down in your seat and then look up here. Now, what do I do for a living? Okay, fine. Search resumes for missing girls. You guys clear 1, 2, 3, 4. A story about the Young Authors Contest.
It's real important for children to become readers and writers so that they can communicate in the world that they're going to grow up in. Everything is changing so quickly. They're going to want to keep on top of all the most recent events.
Yep. They're all written by authors. That's true. You're getting real warm now. Yes, Angela? They're all good stories, but I'm going to answer the question now, okay? All of these books, I'll just read you some of the titles. When you're sick and don't know why.
Here, we'll take care of it.
More than 200 elementary school students from Cotton and Toivola Meadowlands left the school behind to learn more about nature up close.
Conifer trees, especially Norway pine, doesn't usually come back after you log Norway. So very oftentimes we plant Norway pine when we cut Norway pine.
Cotton has owned its own school forest for 30 years, but this year there was renewed interest in the unique teaching tool. Students enjoyed demonstrations on tree planting, logging, camping, wildlife, and firefighting from local experts.
As interest in environmental education continues to grow, schools like Cotton are taking advantage of resources like a school forest. A better classroom is hard to find.
This would be a great opportunity for us to integrate our science curriculum and our social curriculum, whatever. So we decided to try a target day this spring to have an environmental day and get the kids a chance to come out here and enjoy the school forest.
And enjoy the forest they did. We kept hearing the same thing. A field trip is more fun than school.
You get to know more things, and it's more exercise.
This is better than being in class?
Oh, God.
Why? What's better about it?
It has to do with work.
But the work in Cotton School Forest is going to continue.
This is just the beginning, I hope. I hope this to be an annual thing, maybe 2-3 times a year.
Near Cotton, Derek Hines, News 6.
A lot of people don't catch a lot of fish over 20 inches, and then if they do, they generally don't want to keep them because the better eating fish, better tasting fish are generally smaller than 20 inches.
Kind of start over here and just kind of look at
These are our big rolls here.
It's a convenience consumer product, and in Ireland and in Europe now, consumers are looking for convenience, ready-to-eat meals quickly, but with a high quality content.
So this product line in January of this year.
6 days into the 1993 fishing season, a tragedy on Fish Lake. An overloaded fishing boat overturns. 3 young men miraculously survive. A fourth, 19-year-old James Dale White, does not. Experts say the suddenness of the accident is the strongest possible argument for the use of life jackets at all times.
Life preservers have always saved a number of lives where any of the drowning victims that have been recovered almost without fail do not have a life preserver on.
Some sobering statistics. There have been 194 boating deaths in Minnesota in the past 8 years, most in May or August. Most victims, men between 18 and 40. Of the 22 victims in 1992, 9 were accomplished swimmers. Half had life jackets within reach on the boat, but weren't wearing them when the accident occurred.
Did any of the 4 have life preservers with them?
No, they did not.
Along with the water, the greatest danger to the capsized boaters was hypothermia, a dangerous drop in body temperature.
Although it was a warm night on Thursday, the water was only 45 degrees, and at that temperature, hypothermia sets in quickly.
You have to realize that 50-degree water is many times colder than 50-degree air, and it will sap your body core temperature much more quickly.
The bottom line, say authorities, is to play it safe. Wear life jackets and don't risk taking on the elements. Even the strongest may not survive. At Fish Lake, Derek Hines, News 6.
Alpha, do arriving.
Duluth school officials are quick to point out that the level of crime in Duluth schools is lower than in many other districts of comparable size, but they're not burying their heads in the sand. They say they see the national trend toward escalating violence in schools and are taking the necessary steps to keep our children safe.
Over the years, we're going to have to consistently try and keep abreast of things and train our staff, train our leaders, and have a higher collaboration with the community.
Duluth police feel the assigning of liaison officers to each of the 3 high schools was a step in the right direction. They feel it's important to be proactive rather than react to increasing violence such as is being seen in other schools across the country.
We want to make it very clear to all the students that schools are a safe place to be, and we don't want them to be afraid to come to school as other students in other school districts are.
The statistics did indicate an increase in crime in schools here, but Sergeant Waller feels that's probably an indicator of increased reporting due to the officers in the schools. Another thing the stats showed was a fairly consistent distribution of crime in all 3 areas of the city. The kids here at Central look on the report as a kind of vindication. They feel there's been a community-wide negative perception of Central City kids.
Throughout the last few years, we've gotten a lot of publicity about some of the negative things that have been happening in our school, and I think that this proves that negative things happen in other schools as well.
This is the first year for the school police liaison program, and officials are discussing the possibility of expanding it next year. In Duluth, Barbara Rialt, News 6.
That's what I agonize most over it. Yeah, really. What we end up doing is every morning.
There are crying needs out there that need to be met, and I'm concerned that these committees and task forces are a means of avoiding addressing those needs.
1 million people travel to Duluth every year. Now new efforts are underway to draw them farther north. This is the map Iron Range officials plan to use, a new travel center located in Duluth's Holiday Mall.
The principal purpose will be twofold. One is to be the administrative office for our region in the sense that we will sell tickets and organize bus trips.
Recently, USA Today named northern Minnesota among the 5 hotspots to visit in 1993. Officials say the problem is many people are not familiar with the area and what it has to offer, like Chisholm's Iron World, Evelyn's Hockey Hall of Fame, and the Wolf Center in Ely. Business owners hope the travel center will change that.
And that's surprising to me, and it can be people like from the Twin City area and also from the Duluth area that don't know we exist. And so I think that this is going to help point their eyes up farther north than just Duluth.
The center is just one aspect of a $250,000 tourism promotion campaign. It also includes brochures and radio ads in the Twin Cities, all urging people to head north. Funded by the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board, it's a continuation of Commissioner Jim Gustafson's sometimes controversial theory of funding tourism projects instead of just focusing on economic development. Gustafson says the range has to do both.
And so this is 1/3 of our what we think is a very focused goal. And we really believe that we've just barely scratched the surface for our tourism opportunities in northeastern Minnesota.
The center is expected to open for business within 2 weeks. In Duluth, Amy Rutledge, News 6.
Believe me, has changed in the last week. Any additional expenditures?
We passed a budget that does not include problems in their acclimating their problems.
This one is so far improved that I can't.
Toward using those principles more for authentic.
I really feel that we used a baseline that was something that the board just does not have.
What my faculty addressed was that principal job descriptions of principal.
And programs and things going on here. We could create a dot role in our future.
Thank you, Sandy. For instance, if 100 teachers use this experience to improve their environmental curriculum in the schools, that'll provide 1,000 children throughout Minnesota, particularly rural Minnesota, with an understanding of the environment.
I saw pretty much the same thing Angie did. We were sitting up on Superior waiting for the light to change, and we saw this car come through the intersection, and it was hard for me to tell whether or not they were having a good time or not. They were screaming, making noises, and their arms were out the window, but it was clear that they didn't have any brakes or anything.
And I just see this as one piece of many things that can try to take back the soul of our country.
The words of a conservative, but not the typical one. You may have read letters to the editor or articles in local papers by Jay Stevenson, but may not have realized he's 15 years old, a high school sophomore. But despite his age, he's taken on a mission to express a conservative viewpoint.
But I'm trying to reach out, and I think that many people see people like my age It's just people who really don't have any values at all, and I kind of consider myself just to show people that I'm one out of maybe a few that is trying to fight what is happening right now to people of my generation.
What is happening, according to Stevenson, is an absence of values among not only America's youth, but among its adults. Beginning in June, he'll publish a monthly newsletter called The Golden Patriot, containing his personal views on news events and social issues of the day. No outside contributors just yet. He writes from a decidedly conservative Christian perspective, but has trouble latching onto a role model.
People like Pat Buchanan, I kind of follow that type of writing, but I a lot of times find me disagreeing with even many people on the right for not being conservative enough, I guess.
And he has already dealt with strong criticism from people who've read his work.
There's been some people who had wrote in the newspaper calling me everything but a gentleman and saying, you know, just things like me being a sexist, a homophobe, a bigot, and so some of them are a bit more nice, some of them aren't as nice.
But he plans to stay true to his beliefs indefinitely and continue to publish his newsletter for anyone who wants to read it, and has $20 for a subscription. Near Pike Lake, Derek Hines, News 6.
The positive is that they have enormous resources. They are interested in doing direct reduction, which is part of the future of northeastern Minnesota. And if they decide to focus on Cypress North Shore mining and follow through with the direct reduction process, they have the financial muscle to do it.
Basically, we have some online. Tell us what it's like 62 to 95. Show up because the operators here that were invited to attend. The representative.
They're treated in the local communities, but across the nation, as they've closed facilities like Moose Lake, they simply release them into the community, and there's no facilities there to take care of them, and there's no money for the counties to take care of them.
With the city. So it's very easy for us, income tax increase for the wealthy happening on the state and federal level. We've been cutting. Anybody?
Sure. I'll repeat again.
Yeah, sure. Hello, Big. How are you? Yeah.
The first and foremost of any business is to take care of your customers. Then you can look after the other guy. I've got to take care of my customers first. That's my number one concern.
The Black Bear Casino is scheduled for its soft opening on June 15th, with its grand opening scheduled for July 2nd. Organizers expect the casino to be a hit from the minute it opens.
We know this will be successful. Depending on the bottom line success, we would like to see the gas station convenience store start this year, late this fall. Also the hotel perhaps get the finalization and maybe start again for next year.
With all those plans come concerns for what it will do to traffic in the area. Already the intersection of I-35 and Highway 210 is a busy one. Highway 210 is a truck route, and state patrol officers are concerned about what will happen when you mix in the anticipated huge increase of recreation-bound traffic.
The bottom line, Barbara, is we don't want somebody to get hurt. They're coming up there to have a good time, and you can just have a terrible, end of somebody's life, and that just shouldn't be. So we're attempting to do something about it before it happens.
Members of the Fond du Lac Band have reached an agreement with the State Patrol and with the Carleton County Sheriff's Department to pay for off-duty officers from both agencies during the soft opening and the grand opening. But authorities are still working on a longer-term law enforcement arrangement.
I anticipate that we're going to see some increase in other types of calls out there. Typically all of the places that have new casinos do have an increase in their calls for service.
The State Transportation Department has already moved to put in turn lanes from the east and west on Highway 210. They hope that will pull casino-bound traffic out of the main lanes before it interferes with other traffic. They've also encouraged the band to put up signs on I-35, giving people enough warning time to react to turning before it interferes with freeway flow. Authorities have looked at the impact of other large casinos, such as the Grand in Hinckley, and have seen the kinds of trouble they can create. What they're trying to do in Carleton County is to be proactive, rather than being forced to react to tragedy. At the intersection of I-35 and Highway 210, Barbara Riles, News 6.
In Superior, it's kind of a unique situation. The mayor is also the personnel director, and that in a situation like this, I believe sometimes causes a problem or conflict.
The Merritt Elementary School gym was packed with students, faculty, and parents as their final day was celebrated with an award ceremony. But starting tomorrow, this same gymnasium and the halls that go with it will be forever bare. Merritt Elementary School is one of 5 schools scheduled to close this year. Washburn and Cobb schools also closed today, along with Kenwood and Lakeside closing Monday. Most of the students here at Merritt will continue their education at MacArthur School, where they'll meet new teachers and new friends.
Well, it's kind of exciting, but yet then it's kind of sad because Merritt's closing and all.
Well, I have mixed emotions because I kind of feel happy that the kindergartners got to get a year in here before they had to move on, and I feel sad because all the other kids have to get away to Morgan Park and change into different schools.
The students have been participating in a variety of activities that parents agree will allow for a smooth transition to their new school.
Oh yes, they've been doing things. They had pen pals, they've gone to the school for orientations, they've spent an afternoon there meeting the new kids at the school, so they're well aware that they'll be going there.
But for now, the students will put their emotions on hold until summer vacation ends and the new school year begins with new friends, new teachers, and a new school. At Merritt Elementary, Amy Cook, News 6.
I've been in politics for some 25, 28 years, and I can honestly say this is the first time that I've ever heard the phrase, thank you. Those of us in public life, we get blamed a lot. That's true. But it's so nice to come up here, to share in a bratwurst, to meet the young people, to meet the members of the community, and to share in an absolutely wonderful experience.
limits now that are in the law have also been changed. The old limits are shown and the new limits are shown. Suffice it to say here.
In Mexico will undoubtedly come from other parts of South America, Japan, or Indonesia. So we see NAFTA as being a direct threat against the jobs of northern Minnesota steelworkers by accelerating the process of relocating the manufacturers who use steel to low-wage areas in Central America.
Baseball back with the Northern League before the Northern League, and then also the Saints
a little bit, giving people a chance to get in here so they don't miss the first.
Steiner of the St. Paul Saints batting left-handed. Ball down low, 1 ball, no strikes. So the first pitch of the new campaign, 1 ball, low and away.
Steiner resides in Riverside, California.
Second pitch, outside corner fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike as he evens the count. Lincoln Michelson. That for minor league baseball here at Wade Stadium in Duluth. Glad you could join us. Lincoln Michelson.
That's it. We have paying customers outside who won't come.
Though only 50 of these runners will wear a singlet identifying them as representatives of the Better Hearing Institute, many more suffer some degree of hearing loss. The experts estimate 1 in 10 people have some hearing impairment, though many don't know or refuse to admit the problem.
People wear glasses, but they feel that hearing aids make them older or unattractive or whatever.
Michelle Hartlove is one of the 50 running to help draw attention to the problem. Ross Roser will run the half marathon with the same message.
Our message is that there is help and hope for those who have hearing impairment. Too many times people who have hearing impairment will put off getting help because of the stigma associated with hearing loss.
Joe Rizzo, the executive director of the Better Hearing Institute, has run Grandmas for all 15 years of the Run for Better Hearing. He gives a personal testament to the value of hearing assistance devices.
Here, but I find that wearing these modern hearing aids have helped me. Do you mind if I show you?
Sure, please.
The state of the art has come a long way so that now you have hearing aids that size.
Spokesmen for the Better Hearing Institute say the more people know about the type of help that's available, the more they'll take advantage of it, and the better they'll be able to participate fully in society. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
Those in charge of organizing the all-you-can-eat spaghetti dinner had their work cut out for them today, setting up a dinner party for thousands. Not only did they create an outdoor dining room under a big top, they also built a stage for music groups to perform on after tonight's Carbo Feast.
We've been preparing all week, and there's a lot of preparation beforehand, months in advance, so a lot of work.
Planning the menu was the easy part, spaghetti and lots of it, all courtesy of the Northland's Michelinas. Chefs at the deck spent the day stirring the sauce and making sure it was spiced to perfection.
When we start with 700 pounds of dry noodles, and it should be enough for close to 5,000 servings by the time it's done. Sauce-wise, we do about 400 pounds of marinara sauce, which comes about 60 gallons, and 4 times that in the meat sauce.
all the right ingredients for a great energy meal, which is exactly what runners in Grandma's Marathon are looking for. If you're looking to add a little culture to your life, you don't have to look any farther than northeastern Minnesota. The town of Virginia is host to the Land of the Loon Festival this weekend. The event was created 17 years ago to bring together the customs of the immigrants and early settlers of the Iron Range.
We've got many different ethnic, talented entertainment groups, ethnic food booths, and a lot of our crafters do ethnic type demonstrations. And
getting closer, try again. Here. The festival gives people a taste of some of the culture of their ancestors while bringing tourism dollars to the city. More than 200 booths with ethnic crafts and foods draw a variety of people from around the world.
Well, we've had people from Canada and from Minneapolis and all over the place today.
There's people from Florida, Ontario, Canada, Texas, Indiana, Illinois, so they come from all over the
The weekend is full of events like cultural music, dancing, and crafts with special activities for the children that keep people coming back year after year.
For the last 4 years.
What keeps you coming back? Is it the food?
The food and all the new crafts and all the artisans. It's really a nice show.
The Land of the Loon Festival is put together entirely by volunteers from Virginia and surrounding towns. Organizers try to feature exciting new acts along with some old favorites each year.
Most of the food booths are service organizations, and it's used for a lot of their fundraising activity. You know, this is the major fundraising activity for them during the year, and they put that money back into the community, into different programs.
We didn't quite get as many spectators out because the weather wasn't conducive to folks sitting in front of their houses and watching. But we still got the people coming in from out of town who stayed in the hotels, ate at the restaurants.
It does mean that there'll be some delay in moving ahead with the Airbus maintenance facility. It does not mean the end of the issue. The question in a bankruptcy filing would be Northwest's ability to repay the bonds, which was a condition the state legislature imposed prudently.
Place, we've got to have some flexibility to see how we can save money without laying off as many as 20 people. This is one way we can counter that.